Saturday night, Kirby Hocutt now joins us. He is the chairman of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. Kirby, that's the most interesting thing that you guys have to deal with over the next week, the entire Big Ten scenario. Ohio State's 2, they're not playing for a conference championship. How comparable are Ohio State and Penn State?
Well, Reese, as I said last week, Penn State remains at the 7th spot. Ohio State's at the 2 spot. So nothing's changed from last week.
What do you mean by
the
that?
Selection committee, there's still a separation there between
they're not
the
close.
two.
They're not close, is what you're saying, right? Have Ohio State and Penn State?
I'm saying that they're not close in the eyes of the Selection committee.
Okay. When you guys go through the process, for the people who might not be familiar, there are a group of teams, a ranking pool, as it were, typically 6 to 8 teams. The committee members are asked to rank them. You come out with the top 3, top 4, they're seeded, and then you go on. Within that ranking pool, have Ohio State and Penn State even been in the same ranking pool yet?
Well, with respect, Reese, let me step back and say that, again, the mission and the sole focus and purpose of the Selection Committee is to rank the 4 very best teams in college football for inclusion into the playoff. We've analyzed, we've gone inside this data in detail, and we've looked at teams side by side. Yes, we put those teams side by side in comparison, but right now, as our rankings show this week, the Selection Committee believes as of this week that Ohio State is number 2 and that Penn State is still sitting in that 7th spot.
Okay, what could put Penn State closer to Ohio State? Let me ask it a different way. How much value does the committee put on winning a conference championship relative to giving Penn State a better chance? And I keep asking about Penn State because they beat Ohio State. I understand Wisconsin's in the mix, but Ohio State beat them. So let's keep it to Penn State and Ohio State. If Penn State were to win the Big Ten championship, would they then be deemed comparable to Ohio State?
Well, we don't look ahead, and we've seen some crazy things happen in this college football season. We've seen a weekend where 3 of our top 4 teams got beat. This past weekend, we saw 9 of the 9 teams ranked between 11 and 23 get beat. So it's hard to project what could happen with so many games on this final weekend ahead of us that could possibly take place. But again, I want to emphasize that our protocol is to select the 4 very best teams in college football. Now, when the Selection Committee believes that there are comparable teams, when 2 teams are comparable, there's razor-thin margins between the 2, that's when we go to the protocol and the metrics being conference championships, strength of schedules, head-to-head, and outcomes against common opponents. Now those 4 are not in any particular order. None of those 4 are weighted above the other. It's up to each member of the Selection Committee to determine if there's a priority of one of those 4 metrics to them and which one carries the most weight.
Okay, a best team's a subjective judgment. How does the committee weigh a best team, a subjective judgment, as opposed to potential conference champions? That's not just Big Ten. I'm talking maybe Washington too, sitting in the 4th spot. What defines best versus the conference champions? What gives a team best over a conference champion?
Well, it's the complete resume of a team and how that team has performed over the course of the 11 or the 12 games that we've had an opportunity to watch them. I would say the separation between Washington at number 4 and Michigan at number 5 is extremely small. We've said that there's a lot to like about Washington over the course of this year. We saw them with a quality win this past weekend. The strength of schedule, as I've said before, has been a concern, continues to be a concern for us, but Washington has played some good teams. They beat some good teams, but I will tell you that the separation by the Selection Committee members between number 4 Washington and number 5 Michigan is very, very small.
All right, Kirby, we appreciate your time. We'll talk to you again on Sunday when these selections become final. Kirby Hocutt, the chairman of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. Nigel Hayes.
Get him, Reese.